Welcome to Framework. I'm John, one of the hosts of Framework, and with me as always, the other host of Framework, Al. Good morning, Al.
Hey, happy Dragon Age Day, John.
That's right.
Close out Dragon Age Origins today. Well, I mean, the main game. There's a ton of DLC for this game, including one, complete expansion that is almost a sequel into itself. So we're gonna play that one too. But today we're gonna resolve this whole Blight imbroglio.
Yeah, it's the big ending of Dragon Age Origins.
Before we get to the finale, though, we left some major plot lines dangling last time. We didn't go to visit the Dalish elves of the Brazilian forest, where they're having werewolf issues.
Mm-hmm. Very important storytelling stuff here. Now, I, of course, if you recall, Al, am playing a Dalish origin character here, an elf of the Dalish woods that presumably would have his backstory tied to this.
I recall from 12 years ago or whatever, finding the Dalish origin to be the least engaging and interesting origin story. But surely, now that we're revisiting the Dalish, it will all be paying off in storytelling spades here. Right?
Would it surprise you if I told you that it is completely unrelated to the Dalish elf origin story? It involves different Dalish elves.
It did surprise me when you told me that like 3 weeks ago. It offended me a little bit. What are we doing here? All the other origins are built such that when you return to that space later in the game, there's some added content. And that's the cool thing about the origins in a lot of ways, or one of the cool things. And I figured, well, I'll see how it changes this kind of boring section on the Dalish elves if I'm from that section, and I know those characters going in, and then I'll subvert my plans and turn them all into werewolves, and all that, because I'm an evil guy. This is where my game fell apart. This is pretty much everything changed for me when I did this section because I did it incorrectly, and I kind of had to forge a new character journey based on what happened here, and also on how it had nothing to do with my origin story, which I now pretty much have completely forgotten. I played it a few months ago, and it had no bearing on the rest of the game. So, do you think that they just decided that actually they couldn't, from a role-playing perspective, justify a Dalish elf origin going the werewolf route where you slaughter all of the elves?
I think it would be easy to do, frankly. I think that you could come up with a way to make that make sense, and it would be kind of exciting to try that. That was the appeal of doing it. It was the sixth time I played it. It's the sixth one I chose to do. So it still wasn't very appealing, but it was what I was looking forward to in this playthrough, is betraying all the people I grew up with. I thought that'd be really fun. It didn't even have the chance. Yeah,
you're trying to do the Ben from Lost backstory.
Yeah.
Slaughtering the Dharma Initiative. Spoilers
yeah, pretty much.
Lost. Sorry. But it's not there. That's that is aggravating by proxy to me.
Indeed, very much so. Zathrian, the keeper of the elves, I didn't meet him when I was in my origin phase. I didn't meet any of these characters. The closest you get is the lore keepers. It's oh yeah, I heard of you guys. You live in a different part of the forest, right? I think I know your lore keeper, and that's as far as it goes. That's the only connection I got to my original storyline. The end.
Yeah. So anyway, the elves that we actually do deal with here have been being attacked by werewolves. They're infecting people, and they're at the end of their rope. And luckily, the warden wanders in, and we're roving problem solvers here. So
yeah, well, the conceit is that we're trying to get the Dalish elves to honor a document signed hundreds of years ago to help the Grey Wardens whenever a blight comes about, and we need help right now. So
yes,
that's what we're trying to do, ostensibly.
But they're being too torn up by werewolves, so we gotta figure out what's going on with this curse of the werewolves and why they're so angry at this Dalish elf tribe in particular.
I would also add that because the tribes are segmented and Zathrian is not a leadership figure for all the Dalish elves, it is especially pointless considering what good is his signature on this document. It's who signs it? None of this matters. They are a loose collective. It's oh, I got all the American Indians to join my side is what this feels like. And it's dumb. Yeah.
Well, if we skip ahead to the final battle and the mechanics there, it turns out that you only had about 30 Dalish elves join you at all. So maybe it's just this one tribe with his signature on it that joins.
Makes sense, actually. Yeah, I mean, when you kind of look at the scale, like in that way, it doesn't really hold up that much.
Well, one always imagines, when you're playing, let's say, a real time strategy game, and you build a marine in StarCraft. I always kind of imagine that marine is representative of a platoon of
Right.
10 or 12 marines or whatever, and that's how they were able to shoot down, a Protoss carrier if it comes down to it. But anyway. There's something there. I mean, it also works in Dragon Age the opposite way too, where as you complete the Circle Tower quest, it really feels like there's maybe 5 mages left alive at the end of that, and then in the final cutscene, you see 20 of them marching to battle. You're like, oh yeah, well, 20 mages actually could be a lot more useful probably than 30 Elvish archers, given how the combat in this game works. But anyhow. You got to make some allowances, for the hardware and such.
That's fine. I mean, it does put a specific number of guys on your side, and you can see them on the battlefield at the end of the game. But sure, that could be writ large across the battlefield, and that story taking place in several places where your characters are not, conceivably.
Anyway, we're going through we have to go through the forest here. There's some dungeon crawling to get to the big dungeon here.
This is dumb shit. I don't like this Old Man Willow stuff.
You don't like the rhyming tree, huh?
This reminds me of the part in Fellowship of the Rings that they cut out for the film. The old forest and Tom Bombadil. And, it's specifically referencing that almost. And the rhyming tree very much feels like that. All this needs is some really stupid songs. And it would feel very much like that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the tree speaking to you, giving you your request in verse is one step away from that. So, yes, I take your point. But anyway, it's all in service of getting to this big ruin that you can explore and learn the secret of the werewolf tribe, which is that they were, hundreds of years ago, a tribe of humans that slaughtered some of Zathrian's tribe, including his wife, and violated his daughter, and she killed herself after she was impregnated by one of these human marauders. Pretty nasty stuff, really, when you dig into it. This is some of the most Game of Thrones stuff, while also being some of the most The Hobbit stuff with the rhyming tree and such. But there is a spirit of the forest that has animated these werewolves, and they've been slaughtering the elf tribe, trying to convince Zathrian, the guy that we referenced, to lift the curse he put on their tribe hundreds of years ago that turned them into werewolves.
Yeah. Witherfang, the forest spirit. It's kind of a Princess Mononoke type wolf goddess
very
thing.
Much.
Yeah. She's cool. The werewolves are cool. I kind of like the design on them, and I was very excited to side with the werewolves and get them to join my cause. So much so, I played all my interactions as if that were the ending I was pointing towards, which meant being an asshole to elves as often as I could, and being rude to them, and just being a piece of shit in general to all these people.
And a self-loathing one, it sounds like.
Yeah. Turns out, I hesitate to make a real-world parallel to that, but yeah, essentially.
Well, it does. Okay, this is one thing that I feel like I never fully side. I never go over to the werewolves. Like, I feel the game kind of pushing me for that. I think I did an evil playthrough once 10, 12 years ago, where I must have done it. But in my, the ones where I'm trying to role play, again, like I gravitate towards doing things, role playing good. In the same, I think for a lot of the same reasons that I play it on the hardest difficulty level. I'm like, well, let's not take any shortcuts. There's no point in having a Dragon Age snack. You're sitting down for the full 12-course meal. And so that ends up with me doing a lot of the good role playing anyway. It feels like there's a Bioware thing between the Dalish here and the Quarians in Mass Effect, where they really kind of go out of their way to be like, yeah, sure, they're present as a really oppressed minority, but actually they're assholes, and it's not so bad if you eradicate them, which I never feel entirely comfortable with. So no matter how big of an asshole Zathrian is, like, yeah, but I don't know, you're more humanoid than a werewolf. Maybe that's part of it too. It just feels like selling out my own species.
The werewolves are cursed. They don't like being werewolves. They make that clear. They're like, oh, we're in pain all the time. This sucks. So they want to be cured, really. They don't want to be recruited into an army to grow their numbers and make more werewolves. That is what I wanted to do. I was unable to, though. This was
unable to.
I couldn't do it. Here's the thing. I kind of approached this game with a bit of a laissez-faire attitude. I was trying to have the Dragon Age snack, not the full course going in here. I thought I'd just run through this game as I've done many times before, and that'd be fine. And turns out that doesn't work. Turns out you cannot kind of take this semi-seriously as a game. And because of many choices I made early on with my laissez-faire attitude, I ended up with a bad playthrough. As a matter of fact.
So to clarify, you said you were unable to do convert the werewolves like mechanically, like you failed a persuade check or something. Yeah,
that's right. It was a persuade check, and my charisma or what is it? It's not that cunning. My cunning was not high enough to pass the check, either persuade or intimidate, and as such, I had no option to recruit the werewolf army. I could only kill them all or save them. So my whole character was based, at this point around killing a bunch of elves and recruiting a werewolf army of them. And, it turned to ash in my mouth, I'm afraid. And I got no such werewolf army.
So I did not know this. So you can resolve this in such a way that you get no army out of it?
No, you're always going to get an army, an elf army. Either you... kill the wolves or you save the wolves, you get an elf army. If you persuade the wolves to kill the elves, then you get the werewolf army, but you have to persuade them.
So that's only a dark side persuade.
Yeah. Which I didn't remember, and I didn't check on it. So I just got to that point in the game. I was like, these are the choices I made. I guess no werewolf army for me.
I thought that I had resolved the mage tower such that I got the Templars and the mages both to agree to help, but there is no Templars to be seen in the final battle or cutscene. So I don't know if that's just
it's one or the other in every case. I'm pretty sure. Well, no, I got dwarves and golems, I guess. I don't know.
I didn't get golems, but I did. I thought that I got because I convinced the Legion of the Dead to help out, but then they didn't. Weren't visibly there. I guess I didn't use the dwarves really in the final battle anyway. I used them once, and one of the times when I ended up dying and having to reload it and pick a different one. But I never noticed any army of the Legion of the Dead guys. Well,
it's a more complicated and dense package than I recalled, which is dumb because I played it a lot. Should have known if you really want to get certain outcomes, you kind of have to know what you need to do to get them. It's not as simple as just a left click, right click, like Bioware, Mass Effect would be. I would say you can, unless you're doing something very complicated, you can kind of just I remember there's two outcomes. I'll just pick the one I want at the end of the mission. It's not quite like that here, and that's good in a way, but it's also like you got to be on your P's and Q's. You got to pay attention and go into this knowing what you want. Especially if you're on a 6 playthrough, you're not here for the story anymore. You want a specific thing.
There's something kind of interesting about that, actually. The way that the comparing Dragon Age to Mass Effect, or at least Origins, because I'm not sure this will be true for the sequels. But the way you laid it out there, it's Mass Effect is trying to be a much more fast-paced sort of action game, more cinematic thing, and it's also not just the combat, but the role playing is actually more tactical in Origins, the way you laid it out. And it's streamlined to a quick, left to right side thing in Mass Effect to guys keep the cinematography moving in those more dynamic cutscenes with the full voice acting and all.
Well, this is probably the only Bioware game since a Baldur's Gate that you couldn't reasonably describe as an action RPG. Mm-hmm. I think. I mean, maybe Inquisition, but I think that's an action RPG. This one is not. This one is, much different, and it is a finicky and a difficult game in a lot of respects. And I kind of didn't respect that, and that's why I had a bad team and had a lot of struggles just getting through it on casual, or not casual, on normal. Yeah, I was getting killed left and right by some late bosses and difficulty spikes that were really bad. Actually, there's some really tough fights late in the game after you've knocked down armies of peons. Then you get to oh no, this one's harder. And you weren't ready for it, and you get killed. Now you got to go fight all of them again. That happened to me a few times.
Well, potentially one of the next place we have to go to has potentially the hardest fight in the game, which is an optional fight. One of the dragon battles. Because the thing we do, I tend to do last because I know that it has this dragon battle there that I'm trying to kind of be powered up for. But I guess in narrative terms, it would kind of make more sense to go straight from Rycliffe to doing this because it's the Urn of Sacred Ashes quest, where you're trying to find the Dragon Age version of the Holy Grail to revive Arl Eamon, and you have to go to a sort of isolated village, that's run by a cult, kind of a Wicker Man vibe. And this cult believes that a dragon that lives on the mountain where they are is Andraste, which you remember is Dragon Age Lady Jesus. Believes that it is Andraste reborn in the form of a dragon. Which becomes apparent as you get through the Holy Grail trials and all, and meet the ghostly keeper of the ashes. That no, it's just a dragon, and this cult is wrong. We kind of talked about this last time. That with fantasy religions and all, it is a little like murky to do something like this, where it's not obvious, even as they're ranting and raving, that the cult is just wrong and crazy, because they do have magicians that can do real magic. And it's like, who's to say that Andraste could not be reincarnated as a dragon in this fictional world? There are plenty of, possessions and demons and spirits that don't die after the, physical body dies.
And turn into dragons. In fact, that's a thing in this game.
Yeah, so they have to get pretty explicit by having the ghostly knight that guards the Holy Grail be like, yeah, no, they're just it's just a dragon. They're
Yeah, this is very more Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade than I recalled. Actually,
very much
a lot of that in here. The whole temple with the trials and booby traps and all that stuff. That's all here. And
sort of invisible walkway puzzle, even.
Yeah, right. And so that's kind of neat. I mean, I never quite saw how many obvious and direct inspirations this game had until revisiting it now. But it's really full of other stuff. I mean, it feels like a hodgepodge, which is surprising because it also has such a dense and memorable mythology. But it really is a product of inspirations as well.
Yeah, but I think that speaks well to the writing of this game, that it is the original elements that sort of linger in your mind over time, that rise above everything else. It's the Kunari and the Fade and the
even some of the derivative ones, like the Grey Wardens, I'm still kind of just like, yes, those are fully formed. I understand that the dynamic of that group very well. Like, yeah, it's the Night Watch, but still, yeah.
Well, yeah, a huge factor in that has to be that I don't think either of us was familiar with the Night's Watch when we were introduced to the Grey Wardens. So even though they are the derivative one, it's the way that I met Thanos before I'd ever heard of Darkseid, and so now it's hard for me to keep in my head how derivative that is, just because I came into it driving the other way down that road.
Which big monster man came first? Yes, indeed.
Yes.
It does all work is the thing. Like, as a piece of writing and creation, enough of this is specific enough and feels, and is thought out enough. I mean, I don't know how into the codex you got. I really liked digging into that and reading the lore, the extended lore and this stuff. I mean, a lot of it kind of kind of blurs together at some point, but it's still fascinating. And
I read a lot of it in 2009.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And there's a few things that I've, there's a wiki of it all, which is much easier to navigate than the in-game codices. But
I want to know, what the Anderfels are. They keep talking about the Anderfels. I'm going to read about that, stuff like that. I'm always checking out.
Full disclosure, I have Googled the Anderfels and read the wiki entry on it in the last 2 weeks.
Sure. There's a lot of locations that you kind of want to have in your mind, and just to have the whole thing in view, because like I was saying, it is, you kind of have to sit down for the full meal on this for it to play it well and for it to work as intended. You need to spend 60 hours minimum on this thing.
Yeah, and they did the work to make that sort of worth your while, I think.
Very much.
Like the lore goes deep, as we've gotten into here.
Mm-hmm.
But so here's the other thing. We talked a lot about the lore last time and the religions, and how the Androstrian Chantry religion is the one that sort of like doesn't have a god that makes its will manifest in the world through magic.
The absent god, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe that's not entirely true, because the Holy Grail is real in this.
Yeah.
And you take a pinch of the ashes and they work to revive the Jarl. I suppose Morgan, if you ask her about it, probably has an explanation of how, it's a form of magic. It's not what they say it is, but whatever. Whatever works. I suppose there's also the option to defile the ashes. I forget what like the actual what benefit that serves you, because I never really do it. I did it once, and I immediately had to kill Liliana, and I was like, nope, can't do this.
I did it this time, and I didn't bring Liliana. So my goal was to kind of sneakily do it and get away with destroying the urn and not losing Liliana. And kind of turns out that if you manage to lie to subvert the consequences of doing this, there's virtually no reason at all to do it. Like you're playing it for the bad consequence, essentially. Now, the benefit to me, I guess, was I didn't have to fight the dragon or the cultists, and I got an evil power up. You don't have to fight the dragon power.
Anyway, and the cultists are easy. Yeah. But fine, okay. But the blood power up, okay,
which I never used.
Yeah, you get some of those blood ability power ups in the Warden's Keep DLC, which I did very early on and never used once.
Similarly useless. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess this ties into blood magic in this game too, which is a whole like almost alternate magic system that is actually very important to the lore. That blood magic is very heavily outlawed in this world, and they are considered the really evil mages and all that. But and it's cool. Mechanically, I could never quite suss it out. I don't like any mechanics in any game of where you could cast spells by pulling from your life force instead of your mana pool. I don't even like a double dragon when you have a special attack that takes some of your health off.
Never going
to use it. So for that reason, I've never been a blood mage. Never really used the Reaver abilities in this game.
I tried to do Reaver this time just because I was like, well, let's see. Maybe, I'm an evil guy. Let me see what good I can get of this. None. I didn't use it. It didn't seem helpful ever. I didn't even upgrade it. It was just a waste of a specialization.
Yeah, but you can get away with that because there's enough other stuff to put your points in.
Oh, very much. Yeah.
You were able to lie your way through this?
Yeah.
And not have to kill Wynn. So you can kill Wynn or Liliana will attack you immediately if they're with you.
I killed Wynn immediately when I met her, so I never had Wynn.
Yeah.
Liliana ended up being one of my best characters and one of the people who liked me most, and I used her all the time. And so I was like, well, I can't get rid of Liliana. Who will open my chests if I don't have this? I didn't upgrade Zevran's lockpick ability because it's a waste of things to do that. So I only had Liliana to open the locked things in the game, so I wasn't going to lose her.
Of which there are many.
So I didn't take her. And then when I got back to camp, she asked about it, and I lied, and it worked. Because of the lessons of the Brazilian forest, I had pumped up all my cunning, and I could kind of convincingly lie about everything. I did the same thing with Shale, and avoided all consequences of the evil choices that I made. And also, yeah, like I was saying, kind of all the purpose of doing them in the first place. So I kind of just made the bad choices, and they had no effect on the game, and it was disappointing. Like, if I wanted to do that, I probably should have killed those guys.
Yeah.
You know, like otherwise that that there's no real benefit to doing it.
I would say too, like to be fair to the game designers or whatever, like they had no effect on your game because you utilized the escape routes they gave you, and because you had already sort of sabotaged your own game to the point where some of this stuff wasn't going to matter anymore. There would be no win to kill.
Yeah, right. I mean, no, I made a mess of this. There's no question. This is, I guess by the end, I kind of had a coherent worldview for my guy, which is that he was sort of an anarcho-socialist elf, but also a bit of a sociopath, and so kind of didn't care about anything. Sort of, used elf rights or the sort of the downtrodden as a reason to punish other people. I guess. Kind of a bad guy, but not in a way that mattered or affected anything. And then, that would, of course, change with the wins when I wanted to get a certain
You were trying to pivot into Killmonger towards the end?
Yeah, kind of. I was kind of trying to do that.
Not quite making it there.
Kind of trying to make, to make the mistakes in the Dales really pay off for me. And it kind of just ended up with a self-interested character that, I don't know.
That's funny that both of us, come into this after a dozen years and as supposed experts kind of flubbed our way into like alternate. I went to last time how I was intending to roleplay the Alistair romance and marry him and be king and queen together. Mm-hmm. And then there was a glitch in the game's like memory when some other romance thing activated that sort of reset all my progress. I just said, fuck it. I just take go sleep with Oleana instead. And both of us seem to have run into this problem with our planned role plays.
Isn't that interesting? Usually, I mean, I can like to a science, I can figure out who I'm going to lose in any given Mass Effect 2 suicide run. This game is still tough. This one you have to kind of rigorously plan, and even then, you might get surprised. Yeah.
We were talking a little bit about Liliana and Wynn there. There was a couple. I watched a 3.5 hour supercut of all the party banter interactions over the last 2.5 weeks.
This is what the game does to you, yeah.
And there's a lot of it I hadn't seen, but there was one that I got organically just walking around with Liliana and Wynn that I kind of loved, where they have a religious debate about Liliana's heretical views, and Wynn is more of a traditionalist and is trying to talk her into things, because Liliana's complaining about everybody in the chantry looked down upon her for not being as conformist, and how she resented them for being too dogmatic and that. So I don't get the chant right word for word. So what? And it's like, well, that's the wording is important to them, blah, blah, blah. But Liliana wraps it up by saying that it's like, she views it, I think it's all a power and influence game where they can, use this, a typo in my chant to keep me down and all that. And like, oh yeah, this is what I'm talking like why I think Liliana's such a well-written character, because it marries the sort of the religious aspect of the character and then the French spy, cutthroat aspect. And like, she's carrying all that stuff with her from the spy days into the religious conversion days. And it's just a very well-written character for a video game.
Yeah, I kind of forgot how good Liliana was, actually. I always, was sort of a Morgan fan more, but
oh sure,
but no, she's one of the best in the game for sure, and I'm excited to see how it plays out with her coming back in the next few games. So is she in 2? She's definitely in Inquisition. I don't know.
I think she makes a cameo in 2.
Yeah. where I left her in this game was like, oh, I'm going to go see the Urn of Sacred Ashes for myself now. I can't wait. I'll write books about it. And I was like, oh, good luck. Bye. So, I wonder if that'll be referenced. Probably not. But yeah, that was cool.
I see your elf just kind of doing a Larry David nod and playing some current music as he waves her goodbye. Yeah,
there's actually a lot of moments like that with this elf.
That'll be good. Pretty good trip. The other thing, the revelation from the 3.5 hour YouTube video is I had never brought Ogren and Shale around together a lot, but it turns out there's like a 3 to 4 part series of interactions between them that sort of like unlocks a whole new like aspect of Shale's backstory, where he's haranguing Shale about like not believing that she doesn't remember like how she killed her the wizard master that she had before you came along, and sort of gradually uncovers that you lost control. I know because I'm a berserker and this happens to me all the time, and you feel guilty about it, even though you didn't like the guy. You feel bad about it. He kind of like pulls that out of her, and she becomes like defensive about it. It's a strange series of interactions that I in 5 or 6 playthroughs had never encountered before.
I want to watch this 4-hour video you found now. It sounds really good. It sounds like something I'm interested in.
So anyway, now we've got one way or the other. I don't remember how Defiling the Ashes helps us revive Arl Eamon, but he does get revived, and now we've got our army from Redcliffe.
You take the ashes first. You have to revive Arl Eamon. That breaks the story if you don't do that. So they make you take the ashes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I also don't even remember why the cult wants you to do the defiling then for some reason, but
it's not particularly well motivated. What their deal is like, oh no, she can't really be her full self while the Urn of Sacred Ashes exists. It's cult bullshit, but still.
Yeah, I've never dug into it because I'm not doing deals with death cults. Like that's just even in my evil playthrough, I think I tend to be like just default to but it's probably faster to just kill you all. And an evil guy might do that too, so I can still like get away with that.
Right. Yeah, it's not really motivated, honestly. You have to be after the result of you kill Leliana and win is sort of the entire reason to do it. And
yeah, I mean, it sounds like I
decided I didn't want that, so it was just a waste.
Well, your role playing, it sounds like could be doing it just to give a finger to the Andrastrians.
That is sort of a through line I had. Is that he's really anti-Chantry, right, despite taking the side of the Templars at the Mage Circle. But that was just sort of on Morgan's whim, as it turned out. I didn't expect to do that.
That's fine. Your guy he's hornier than he is, committed ideologically.
That was a through line. Yes. He's sort of an anti-establishment guy, I guess. Any sort of organization, he kind of wants to poke it in the eye a little bit. I don't know. I mean, I'm looking for a through line here. Even the wardens, I guess, in the end, it was kind of like that. It was kind of just like, fuck it. Let's get Logan in there. Let's see what happens. We don't need to do this stupid ceremony. I'm gonna transfer that soul into the unborn child. Anyway,
we'll get to that shortly. First, we got to return to Denerim now for the lands meet, which is the meeting of all the nobles. It's going to sort of decide. Logain's been ruling as a regent since the king died, but he's not really in line for the throne. His daughter is the king's widow, but she's not fully on board with his plan. She didn't think the world of her husband, but didn't hate him, and did not approve of killing him. So she's willing to work with you, but she is being held prisoner so as not to upset these plans in the estate of Arl Tim Curry, who, if you're playing my noble origin, slaughtered your family. He's the Baron Harkonnen of this game.
Yeah. It's amazing how unimportant and uninteresting the Arl Howe is, considering his plot relevance and that he's voiced by Tim Curry.
Yeah. That's an area we talk about, like adaptation could be really beefed up.
Yep, for sure. But why does this guy matter so little? I don't know, but he doesn't.
I think it's difficult to incorporate that in a way that makes sense with all the other origins too. And
Perhaps.
but I don't know. Yeah, you're right. There's more room. I kind of felt this way with Mass Effect 2 that Benezia could have been a larger figure sub boss in that game.
Yeah, that's true. Well, yeah, like you said, there's a lot going on. But you got Tim Curry playing, an evil, evil lord. I mean, that seems like that. Like you're starting on second base there. That's
and somehow it's a single because I didn't even know it was him until this year when we started doing this, and I still don't entirely believe it. Like I don't hear his voice in it.
He's
got a great voice.
It's definitely him. Yeah. Anyway, Denerim. This is this is your standard. Here's the big city in your fantasy world. This is something King's Landing. Any RPG or medieval adventure game worth its salt is definitely going to have a big city, if not many big cities. And this is, of course, the one for Dragon Age.
I guess we should mention that you can go to Denerim straight away once you leave Lothering and open up the different quest lines, and there's just a glut of optional side quests to do here. So I've been here a ton throughout the game, doing a lot of stuff, but it's not really fully plot relevant until the third act here.
Mm-hmm. And some of that's interesting, some of it's not. There's a lot of it. The armorer who makes you Drake scale armor is kind of fun, but the armor's not the best in the game. By the time you get it, it's kind of Well,
if you kill that dragon for the cult, then the plate armor I got from that turned out to be my best at the end of the game.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't kill the dragon, so maybe that's why I didn't get that.
I did. You didn't kill the dragon. That's crazy.
I killed other dragons. It's fine.
Well,
I was for the dragon. I was pro dragon.
Okay.
So
yeah,
maybe you are the reborn Andraste. Who am I to say?
But did you kill Flemeth?
Yes.
At Morgan's behest? Okay. Because you can lie to her about that too, and I thought it seems like you might have just lied to her on general principle.
No, I love Morgan. I'll do anything for Morgan. That was something I was into. Anything Morgan wants. She had me wrapped around her little finger. It was great.
Yeah. We didn't talk about that either because there's not too much to it. Morgan, when you're in the Circle Tower, you find Flemeth's grimoire, which reveals that she is, in fact, raising up these daughters in the wild so she can take over their bodies to, remain immortal. Standard, Wicked Witch stuff, really.
Skeleton Key style. Really good, yeah. And
Morgan says, I was worried. I thought it might be something like this. Now that I know, I want you to go kill her for me. I can't be close to her or else she might be able to possess me. And then you can just go back to the hut and kill her. And she turns into a dragon. It's a big, long fight, but there's not story stuff to go beyond that.
No. You get her grimoire, the end. It's a tough one. It's one of the harder fights in the game for sure.
Yeah.
The time I beat her, it was Sten who got the final kill, and so I got to see the animation of Sten jump on her back and ride her around and stab her in the head. That was sort of his big moment of the game.
Sten rules. But anyway, we're back in Denerim. There's good. You can meet Alistair's long lost sister there, who is a real harridan that will ask you for money, and you get nothing in return. Usually, when you have the option to give money to a beggar type in an RPG, there will be some gameplay benefit fast on the heels of it. It'll unlock some a quest line for you, or give you a unique item, or at least just experience. No, she just takes your money, a fairly large amount of it if you go all the way. And I guess it improves your reputation with Alistair is the only benefit.
All the beggars kind of take your money and don't benefit you in this game.
Oh yeah, we go into the alienage.
Yeah,
that's one of the other ones where it feels like the thumb on the scale of Bioware is really trying to be no, but fuck the elves, because there'll be a beggar there, you can give him one silver, a nickel. It's nothing much. But then the next time you pass that area, he's there with a friend, and they ask for more money. And if you keep giving them more money, the crowd grows until they're asking you for like, C notes.
Yeah, if you give him a cookie. And I had a lot of money at that point, and I was like kind of committing to I'm really into elf liberation. I was trying that hat on at this point, so I gave them a lot of money thinking it would pay off, and it did not. They just lost a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
that's the lesson. Yeah,
and I don't much appreciate it. I mean, it's not that there's like no, I don't know, that it has to be like a direct gameplay reward for something like that, but it just felt a little preachy, a little Ayn Randy to me. Just how what complete ingrates they are.
No one comes off looking great in this game. They don't. There's no. I mean, I kind of like that. Like, Tolkien elves, for example, are, written as the best of us or better than us, or
of course,
cerebral kind of ethereal beings, and these ones are grubby, kind of down in the muck as much as any other race, in large part because they are downtrodden and enslaved as often as not. But even still, no one's. There's no real good races inherently in Dragon Age, which is kind of
it feels like they have to work extra hard to make sure you don't sympathize with the elves too much, like more so than with the dwarves or the Kunari. I mean, I would say who comes off the best. The Kunari come off as awesome because Sten is cool.
Well, he's the only one in this game. I mean, we'll get into the second game. They're antagonists in Dragon Age 2. They're still pretty fucking cool.
He's not even a real one, is what I figured out. I don't remember how much we talked about this last. I mean, I know we talked about the Kunari having horns and being this other race as a sort of retcon. But I think the way that's retconned here is that Sten is actually so the Kunari race, the Kossith, whatever, are these giant humanoids. I mean, not giant, but they're larger, and have these horns that grow out of their heads. And Sten is not one of those. I think he is just a man who converted to the Kun, as is allowed for all the races to do, who happens to just himself be a very large man.
But not he's like a Walter Sobchak figure, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. You don't just drop the Kun.
But he was not born the giant horned race. He just happens to be a 7 foot tall man that converted to the race, the religion of the giant horned race, which is a bit confusing.
That is what it is. It's basically the Klingon in Star Trek, where at some point we just decided they had forehead wrinkles. Yeah, and
so the mages also come off, I think, pretty. I mean, that becomes a big thing in Dragon Age 2. I don't know. I guess Morgan's running them down a lot in this game, and
they are frequently turning evil. It happens a lot. It's very easy, and even you turn your back on them, and they're like, oh shit, he's a blood mage now. Oh no, it happens over and over and over again, and to the point where you feel like adults for falling for it. Kind of, it's a negative, a pessimistic view of the races and of everyone. Really, I think humans might come off the best, actually.
Yeah, not great. The Mabari, perhaps the war dogs.
Sure, the war dogs. Yeah.
Killed quite a few of them in Tim Curry's estate, but anyway.
Man, my war dog ended up being one of my best characters, I gotta say. Not like character.
Because you ran out of everybody else.
Yeah, pretty much. But like as a fighter, he was quite effective. I used him more than I expected to. I think last time I was saying I never use him. Nah, I used him a lot this time because I needed him.
Nice. Well, yeah, I think part of my problem with using the war dog, in addition to like the not being able to use gear stuff that I talked about last time, I never quite understood what the dog's class was and what their like specialty.
His class is dog.
Well, I know, but is that to make him a tank? Or is he more like on the stand?
He's more like.
Should I send him after mages?
It's not a bad idea. Yeah, because he knocks people down and tears at them on the ground. So that not only are they out of commission for a while, he's doing damage, and he's also pretty resilient. Yeah, he's kind of like Sten, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell Sten is, which I also can't quite put my finger on.
Right. A very fragile giant man with uses giant weapons. I don't. But all right, we talked about that last time. Right now, we need to talk about the alienage a little bit. We finally go into the alienage, which is the elvish ghetto of Denerim. There's a plague going on there, and there are some mages from the Tevinter Imperium that have come to set up a hospice and help, ostensibly. But we immediately smell something rotten afoot with them. And it turns out. Would you believe me if I told you it was a slavery ring?
That Logain is sort of low-key bankrolling, I guess, is the implication.
He'd approved it. Yeah. I forget exactly what he gets out of it more than money. Doesn't
help much, but yeah, it's standard stuff, I guess. It's pretty mean. It's like a lot of this game, you're just like, whoa, this is pretty serious kind of stuff. There's a one scene bad guy here that I really like. What's his name? Cothrian, I think, something like that. The leader of the Tevinter.
No, Cothrian is Logain's
that's right.
Second in command.
His man at arms. Lady at arms, yeah. It's similar. Cauldrian, maybe. I don't know. It's a similar name.
But he's not making it out of this scene alive. So
no, exactly. He's sort of a Joe Pantoliano mage. Is the vibe?
He does. He's got the cipher,
he looks like Cypher.
And the Cypher's sort of begging for his life, wheeling and dealing once you beat him stuff. It seems like something Cypher would do.
Yeah, exactly. And that's really fun, He's just he's tries to double down. He's like, well, I guess that means you're going to kill me then. Fine. He's funny. Yeah, I could have used more of him, but he's also very evil. So you take him down. And I could do that righteously, even with my confused evil character, because he was suppressing elves. So simple enough.
Yeah, that's that's one of the nice things about our role playing evil is that you do always have the option of just saying fuck it and killing everybody. Just because they give you an evil deal doesn't mean you have to take it.
Right.
You also
they're rarely
cut the
worth
throats.
It. Yeah. So. That's a good scene. All of this is in service of rallying support for the Landsmeet, the meeting of lords to determine the end of the civil war, the Ferelden civil war between the wardens and Terran Logain, the ostensible villain of this game.
Yeah, and you're side questing here. Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I guess the alien stuff is not optional. The Tim Curry stuff is not optional.
No.
There's some other stuff that is, within those dungeons that's all about collecting points that are going to work in your favor for the Landsmeet.
Does this matter? Does this matter at all?
A little bit.
Points? Okay, yeah.
So I'll go. One thing we didn't mention that when we were leaving Tim Curry's estate, you get accosted by Sir Cothrian that you were talking about, Logan's second command, and a pretty large group. It's probably the toughest fight in the game. Because you're supposed to take a scripted loss to it, really, and
really, I worked these
kept.
Guys. Interesting. I was getting my ass kicked by all sorts of simple fights, and this one I was just marched through them.
This I beat it this time. Just as it was a challenge, and I wanted to do it. It only took me 2 tries, I guess, but because I had all my crowd control worked out by that point.
Yeah,
but. You're supposed to lose there, and then you get captured and thrown in jail. And your party has to mount a rescue mission to get you out. And there's several different ways that can go.
Oh, I had that. That was when I was rescuing Nora, though.
No, that's when you would dress up as the guards and go into Tim Curry's estate. Yeah. You get thrown into Fort Dracon, and there's a jail there.
Yeah, that
and Alistair maybe are if Alistair's with you, he gets thrown in jail with you, and the rest of your party has to do. There's a similar sequence to it in Knights of the Old Republic 2, where
I'm thinking of different. I was thinking of the second Cothrian encounter. Yes, I didn't even have this fight. I was just okay, I think I actually picked the wrong dialogue option and surrendered.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that fight. Yes. Okay. Fair enough.
So I didn't do the rescue mission this time, but I've done it in years past, and it's that there's a lot of unique dialogue depending on the combination of companions you send in to do the rescuing. Mm-hmm. Some of them are better at Leliana is going to get you farther in before you get uncovered and have to fight your way through than Ogren is,
right?
Or the dog.
I wish I had
actually, I think maybe the dog can get you all the way through. I forget exactly how that works.
That's fun. I wish I'd done this. I decided to single-handedly escape as my warden this time. Kind of forgot there was another option, but yeah, I just marched through it as the warden, and that was how I handled this, and I regretted it immediately after. I was like, oh, I missed a lot of good content there. Oh well.
Yeah, this time I let that content go. It goes against how I usually do this stuff, but what are you gonna do? Honestly, I don't know why I skipped that. It is, I think, some of the better and more unique stuff, like content in the game.
Yeah.
So I should have done it.
Should have done it.
But
oh well.
I guess I was trying to just take an alternate route from what I normally do, and it turns out it's just a shortcut.
Yeah, that was basically how it turned out. And that's, again, never the way to go in this game. You should take as long as you possibly can to get through this game.
Yeah. So you can, if you don't kill Sir Cothrian as you're escaping here, then when you're going to Landsmeet, you'll have to fight her outside the gates. That's the one I think you can actually persuade her to come over to your side.
I tried that. I failed, but that could be for many reasons.
Well, I guess she doesn't necessarily come to your side, but she lets you in without fighting you. Because she admits that Logain's wrong, but but she's also got a really nice sword, so I wanted to give that to Sten.
Yeah,
and
I did the same.
So I killed her.
And then the Landsmeet, one of the coolest things in Bioware, right? I mean, kind of. It's it feels very innovative, or it did in 2009. It feels like, kind of a forerunner of the Mass Effect Suicide Mission in a way.
Yes. In that I believe there are 9 different outcomes. That can happen here as to who lives, who dies, who rules the country, and what configurations. And
it's based on like decisions you've made along the way, how well you know the answers the people are looking for, how many of these connections you've made earlier. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how much all that matters. You're still probably going to fight Logain at the end, but still, there's shifting scenarios, changes. This is probably the single moment that changes the end of the game the most, right? I mean, the final outcome of everything, is largely decided here.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess we say, like, what does it mean to win or lose this? I think if you lose it, then it just becomes a big fight with everybody in there. You have to kill all Logain's guys. Which is what happened with me. Yeah. And if you win it, the debate, like, you have to present different arguments. It's interesting. Like, I mean, your persuade, I think, comes into it, and you have to score a certain amount of points, but the losing arguments are the ones that are like more emotional and based on like talking about the Grey Wardens loses you support. Talking about Kalen loses you support. That's interesting. Yeah. Yeah. You got to talk about the Blight and what's good for the country and all that. You have to try not to seem self-interested to the assembled nobles. So it's got layers there.
Don't dismiss their economic concerns. Of course.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. That is
kitchen table politics.
Yep. Lesson we have to keep learning, apparently. But if you win the debate, then Logain will challenge you to a duel, and you fight him one-on-one instead of having to fight the entire chamber. And you can choose to do it yourself, or choose one of your companions to be your champion. Anybody, but he rejects the dog if you try and send the dog in to fight for you.
I didn't know that. That's great.
Arl Eamon interrupts and says, like, Warden, I do not believe we'll be leaving the fate of the country up to your dog.
That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
but there's really I mean, I didn't see any reason why you would not ever choose yourself here. I guess for dramatic purposes, you could have Alistair do it. He might like to do it, but your player character is significantly stronger than any of the companions. So it's like, for the big boss fight, you would pick them. Maybe if you're like a mage, you don't do so well one-on-one.
Right. Right. It seems like there could be fun in any scenario there. Like if you really bumped up your Zevran, you want, like, even that probably, I don't know, it'd be interesting to see what they recorded specifically for that. I would be curious, but not curious enough to try it. I just fight him as the warden every time.
Yeah, I guess you could even choose Shale.
Here, fight this rock person for
yes.
on my behest, please. Well, no, my shell probably would have crushed him. I was pretty solid by this point in the game. Wasn't losing anymore. Basically, once I got through the Haven and the Cult of and the Urn of Sacred Ashes mission, I was cruising at that point. I would say, even with the difficulty spikes. Yeah.
Well, again, so if you win the debate, and then after you win the duel with Loghain, you can execute him. You can have Alistair execute him. You get the option. Riordan suggests that he could be inducted into the Grey Wardens, sent to the wall as they do in Game of Thrones, as instead of being executed. Alistair will not accept that. So if you take Loghain on as your party member, then Alistair will leave the party, become a wandering drunk. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can kill Alistair here.
You can definitely kill Alistair.
Oh, yes, you can. Sorry. All right, so I pulled up the wiki.
Pretty brutal. Yeah.
At the end of Landsmeet, Alistair might rule as king on his own, rule with Anora as his queen, if you set that up with them beforehand, rule jointly with the human female noble warden as his queen consort. That's what I did this time because I had never done it previously, and it seemed like that's probably of all the origins, they have set the most up with this one for the end game, and that will have the biggest dramatic effect. It had shockingly little dramatic effect. Like when I just suddenly announced at the 11th hour that actually I am, after I've set you up to marry Anora, but actually I'm going to marry you and be your queen. And everybody just kind of went, oh, okay then.
That's great. I love that.
And again, because of the bug, Alistair did not even, mention, register that we had been in a committed relationship where we had planned to marry halfway through the game. And then he forgot all about that when Liliana started flirting with me. And I started sleeping with her instead. And so he treated like we'd never been a thing whatsoever.
Weird.
Frustrating. But he can also remain as a Grey Ward and just let
classic Alistair. Yeah.
Let Anora be the queen. He can be executed by Anora or leave the party and become a wandering drunk. That apparently shows up in Dragon Age 2.
They wanted to kill him in my playthrough, but I kind of wanted to see him as the drunk in the next game. So I said, as a boon for me, Queen Anora, will you let this one live? And that's the end of that. I just wanted to see him again. But I also wanted more than anything to have Loghain on my team, and I did. That was fun.
Yes.
I mean, he's basically mechanically the exact same as Alistair.
Right. Yeah, I think that's kind of necessary. You don't really want to throw off your party balance by taking this route this late in the game. Just continuing to read through the options in the wiki. Anora can rule as the queen by herself, or she can marry Alistair and be queen and king with him, or she can marry the human noble warden if he's a male. And you have not hardened Alistair. There's the thing with some of these characters, Liliana and Alistair most prominently, depending on how they're their loyalty missions basically play out. You can kind of turn them soften them or into nicer, gentler versions or harder, colder versions of themselves. So if you have hardened him, then I guess he will not go along with that. Or if Alistair can be imprisoned by Alistair if he becomes king and doesn't marry her. But also if you want you or Alistair to marry her, then you have to make sure the other person was the one who executed her father, because she won't marry the guy who actually decapitated him and splattered her with his blood.
All right, I forgot
in the cutscene.
Yeah. The Loghain thing. I really like Loghain. He's an interesting guy. My guy, my warden, not really. There's no good motivation for the anarcho-socialist that I was playing to try to pull this guy out and be like, no, we need Loghain here. He should be a Grey Warden. We need his expertise on the field. That doesn't track at all with what I was doing, so I kind of just had to break it and turned into some sort of notice me senpai kind of just like I really, really respected Logain for some reason in the third act and treated him like sort of a surrogate dad and irritated him. And that was funny. Didn't really track with the character, but it was a lot of fun to do it. And yeah, just sort of irritating him and Honora while they are politically required to stick with me was a good time.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't even realize this now as I'm reading through this. You can recruit Logain and have Alistair still become king with Honora. If he has become hardened, he will accept that, but he will still leave the party.
Well, okay, that makes sense.
Serve with him.
That sounds like a tough one to get. That sounds like you got to get a lot of things go your way for that to occur. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Never got that one.
No,
but I've never recruited Logain either.
It doesn't change much. He doesn't have much to say.
Well, there's not much left of the game. So.
Exactly. He's kind of interesting. There's some fun things you can do with him. I ended up not doing most of those because my Morgan stuff was, that was kind of my most important relationship. So I wasn't going to like forego all of that so Logain could sleep with her.
Yeah.
But
you didn't decide your anarcho-socialist was into that?
Yeah, probably could have justified that actually. now you should sleep with Logain though. That'd be good for me. No,
it'd be great if they gave it. I mean, honestly, 10 years later, like cucking has entered the mainstream, where they might have given you a dialogue option like, "I want to stay and watch."
It's a good plan, but here's a twist.
It's missing something in the corner, or maybe someone. An elf, perhaps.
That's great.
We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here because now we're getting into the final stuff here. We're right. The final battle. They contrive a reason to say that we think the blight is going to strike Redcliffe first, so we're going to go gather up there. This is basically just because we don't want to. I guess they didn't want to do like a siege of Denerim thing. They want us to come upon Denerim while it's under siege and fight our way through it, rather than be doing a defense from the start. Which, okay, I'm not really sure why that's better, but fine.
They could have just done that. Oh well, doesn't matter.
It could all be a Denerim, yeah. But you go to Redcliffe, there's some Darkspawn there that are attacking, and you have to kill them. And you're very much into final battle mode now. We're leaving in the morning. We're going to march all of their assembled armies back to Denerim to try, because that's where the blight's actually going. Mm-hmm. And that's when Morgan comes up to you and says, "Oh, sorry, Riordan, the Grey Warden that we released from Tim Curry's dungeon, came along, told us the secret of the Grey Wardens, which is that to actually end a blight and kill the Archdemon for real, a Grey Warden has to deliver the killing blow and then absorb the Archdemon's essence into himself, which he can do because of the Darkspawn taint within him. Right. Otherwise, the essence will go to another Darkspawn and I guess create a new Archdemon. I don't know if that means that it will like morph them into a dragon. Will it happen slowly?
It's bad. It's bad, at least. Yeah.
We mentioned briefly looking at the wiki of the Androfels earlier, which yes. I did. Turns out the backstory of that place is that it's sort of where like the first blight, or maybe the second blight, hit, and kind of like it's still kind of a ruined country centuries later, because the first blight lasted for almost a century there. And I wonder if the idea there is that they kept killing the Archdemon and it kept respawning until they figured this out.
That's pretty good, actually.
That could be a spin-off of its own. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But anyway. So the bad deal here is that there's only two Grey Wardens left, whether it's Logain and you or Alistair and you.
And Riordan.
We'll have to. Yes, Riordan, but his shirt's quite red. Yeah. And he says, "Yeah, I'll try. I'm older. I'll try and deliver the killing blow so that I'm the one who has to die." But we all kind of know that it's going to come down to us. Morgan, however, has other plans. She comes to you and says, "I know about this thing about the Archdemon. I think I have a magic ritual that will mean you can kill the Archdemon without having to die yourself. I need one of you Grey Wardens to knock me up so that I have a baby with Darkspawn taint essence in me, and can absorb the archdemon's essence there. And then I will have a baby with the soul of an old god, and I will go fuck off with that, and you don't have to worry about what comes next.
And so it is sort of a decision. Do you want to like perpetuate this thing in some weird slant way, or do you want to end it with your death or someone's death? And that is sort of the big final choice of the game. In this particular playthrough, it was no choice at all. Of course, it was like, well, yeah, obvious, we're doing that, no question. I'm a sort of morally evil guy, and I'm in love with Morgan, so I'm definitely gonna do that. The difficulty is going to be trying to convince her to stay, and become sort of petulant and mopey when she insists on leaving. That was the game for me this time, and that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, you were going to do it anyway that night. Like,
of course, yeah,
you were going to sleep with her that night anyway.
Yeah.
But it is, I guess, the thing of she says she's and she means it.
Mm-hmm.
She leaves when this is done.
Yeah.
I guess if you refuse to do the ritual with her, she leaves before the final battle even. So you're down without a mage too.
And I forgot that was the case. I thought I was like going to be without my mage for the final battle. But no. If you do it, she stays. So no problem there. Yeah. Which you need. It's a long fucking fight at the end.
Yeah.
If you killed Wynn as soon as you met her, you might want a mage at the end there.
Yeah. So I convinced Alistair to do it in this case, just because I actually think in my original canonical, like first like complete playthrough, I took the loss myself. I thought that was a nice, heroic sacrifice ending. And I still kind of like that one the best. But in this case, I wanted to, carry my character over for the Witch Hunt DLC.
Yes.
And for that purpose.
Well, that happens anyway.
Yeah, but it's not going to... For it to be anything, I think you need to have this. Right. And I mean, honestly, that DLC probably makes far and away the most sense if you romanced Morgan yourself.
I'm excited to find out. Yeah.
But we'll get to that next time.
With it. Yeah.
First, we got our big final battle.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Which is, it's a siege. It's it's the city of Denerim. It's all the maps you've seen. Now they're overrun with darkspawn and there's fire everywhere, and you fight them. A bunch of darkspawn. There is sort of a mechanic where there's two generals that you're going to have to face, and you can do it all at once at the end, or you can go fight them individually beforehand. It's definitely better to fight them individually beforehand. I've never tried to do it the other way. And,
I didn't even. It felt like they presented it as if it was optional, and yet on the map, I don't know. I guess you could just skip right to the fort.
You can skip right to the end, yeah. Mm-hmm. But no one does.
No.
Yeah.
Why would you? Yeah. Why are you trying to cut corners at this stage of the game?
Yeah. And it's not actually that long. The whole thing's probably like 90 minutes. Once you start it to the end of the game. Even with a very long dragon fight at the end. I wouldn't say it's underwhelming. I think it's pretty good, but I was surprised how quick it is. I mean, now I know what it's, it's aside from the dragon fight itself, it doesn't offer a lot of kind of unique monsters or moments or anything like that. This is something. Actually, I think Dragon Age 2 might have the most elaborate finale of all the Dragon Age games. Now that I think on it.
You mean like dramatically or like gameplay wise?
Both, maybe. I mean, dramatically, it's the lowest stakes. It's the lowest stakes, I guess. But that's kind of what's cool.
Well, but it's got the most beats.
There's shit going down
of drama going on. Yeah,
it's
people when you're like you said, this is just a big fight.
I think Inquisition is the same. It's just like, and of course, you're gonna go fight the end guy. It's kind of just that, and they're never too long. It's not an issue in Mass Effect, but I mean, I don't even know if it's an issue. It's just sort of something they do.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good finale to this game. Yeah, it's a good fight. One thing I love that they have now added into this the Darkspawn army, and you're fighting them in the finale here. Instead of just Hurlocks and Genlocks, you get Hurlock grunts and Genlock grunts, which are just like softer versions that are put in there so that they can be one hit killed. Mm-hmm. And you can just, now that you're at the apex of your power, you can really run through here just slaying Darkspawn, and that's satisfying, even though it's transparent in a way.
Yes, very much so. But and this is where your collected armies that we were referencing earlier can be deployed to help you clear a board. I kind of wish there was more opportunity to use them. I never use all of them.
No.
I always got like a massive stock of it left at the end.
Particularly since I didn't realize, I forgot that I could do that for the first like 2 boards, I think. And there I was like, oh yeah, these guys. I think there is a thing like that really is different armies have different specialties, and like each one is kind of designed to help you through. Like the elves will get slaughtered if you pull them out at the wrong time, but they're helpful in one particular one.
The golems are pretty good whenever you bring them out.
Yeah. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you've done everything in this game, you're probably powerful enough to do it without the armies anyway at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I still wasn't, I had a bad group, but at this point it was pretty much, it was pretty settled by now that I was going to kind of just walk my way through the end of the game. We're level 21 or whatever we are at that point, where you're supposed to be. So it's, even with a lesser team, it was pretty doable.
Well, on the nightmare difficulty, this is still pretty rough. Even that Archdemon fight took 45 minutes.
That fight is so fucking long.
The time I won, I died.
Yeah, this game is hard. Unlike Mass Effect, which I got really good at, I don't think I've ever been really good at this game. I think I've always struggled a little bit with this and getting through it. And micromanaging everything, I think, has always been tough for me. Not so you can't finish the game, of course, never quite like that, but I'm not trying Nightmare, that's for damn sure. Although I kind of want to now for the rest of these. I think I want
to. It's where I live, baby.
I think I'm going to play 2 and Inquisition on hard, and just plan a little better. Maybe watch some videos about how to do it right, because I feel like I'm missing a part of the combat here.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an old ass.
I might take the difficulty down for Dragon Age 2. I recall the combat in that being very tedious.
It can be. Yeah, it's true. But it's the shortest one. Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So now we're here. We slay. Well, is there anything else about the finale? It's pretty. I like the scale of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You got Denerim in flames.
The dragon looks cool. I like him. It's he has a huge health bar. It's at this point, I guess you expect in 2009 you're gonna have a massive health bar chunk to fight down. That's just how games handle a last boss, and you
fight him on the top of the tower of the fort. There's ballistas around that you have to kind of use to hit him from afar at certain points in the stages of the fight, and those can break down, and you need a rogue to repair them. So there's still like some.
Oh, I didn't even know that worked. Interesting.
There's a thing, you choose your 4 people, and you can leave another 4 people behind to like guard the gate, and you do a section where you're just fighting as the other 4 people without your player character.
Pretty quick.
I kind of wish that there was a more extensive version. I wish you were sending them after one of the generals, perhaps.
That'd be fun.
A little more proactive.
Mm-hmm.
But at least it doesn't just leave them all by the wayside. You get to do a little last thing with all of them.
Right. I had Logain leading them. He was pissed because he wanted to sacrifice himself. I was like, don't worry about it, Logain. I got you covered, man. But I was like, no, we have to protect you, Logain. Also I had a black magic evil plan. It's not even that evil. I don't know. It's kind of evil.
I mean, they want you to. It's weird that they want to be clear that Morgan's plan is the evil option. It's shady or whatever, but they also like the game loves Morgan a little too much to like really turn you against it.
And later games kind of, make it seem like, well, maybe it wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we'll see.
Who knows? Maybe the Veil Guard
maybe
really pays this off in a big way.
I bet not. From what I've heard, they've gotten so far, they kind of had to do a bit of a soft reset on all the things that carry over. But Morgan is in the game. Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. 3 sequels down the line of these enormous games. I don't need everything to be like one solid through line. And they're 20 years down the line in game time. Like, fine.
But I don't expect it to matter.
This is a big one, I suppose.
But yeah, the smaller minutia, it's probably a real pain in the ass to be like, okay, well, Okay, the game state is Honora is queen at this point. You know,
Right.
to carry that shit over, probably a real hassle for 15
Yeah,
years later, 4 games later.
and this is another thing where when you strike the killing blow, like the player character could die or live and be the king or queen of the country.
Mhm.
And Alistair could be king of the country, could be a wandering drunk, could die striking the final blow. The villain of the game could survive this game, having killed the archdemon for you.
He did in mine. Logain survived in my game. He didn't kill the demon, but yeah, there he is. And he's like, "How come you didn't die, Warden?" At the end, he's trying to piece it together. I'm like, "Oh, I don't know. It's weird, huh?"
Must be an elf thing.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if he's going to show up down the road. Since I saved him, we'll find out. I know we got drunk Alistair to look forward to, so I'm glad I saved him for that. So the end here, after you fought it, there is you basically get you're in the King's Hall, and you get to talk to everyone that you traveled with along the way, and you see what they're up to and how they feel about things. And it's a victory lap, curtain call for your team. Pretty familiar, pretty good, and then you leave, and Shale's not there. Yeah.
Well, and for me, I got to be talk to Alistair and be like, "Yes, I'm going to marry you, going to be the queen in about 6 months because I'm going to go on a little sort of like pre-honeymoon with my girlfriend over here." And I left with Eliana to go a wandering.
See, I had I really liked my my human noble female playthrough because I don't know, it was very good, very heroic, and it was a committed romance with Alistair. And then we got to the end, and we decided to subvert the killing of the warden curse when you kill the thing where you die. We subverted that by having Alistair sleep with Morrigan, and it was sort of like the seed of decay, that sort of like would twist the relationship and hurt it as plays out in Awakenings and Witch Hunt. That's why they had to go kill Morgan, because it was like, nah, I can't let that stand. You can't. It bugs me that you slept with Alistair. I got to kill you. That was how that ended. And it was great.
That's what I should have done. I just didn't. I was 25 hours into the game. I just needed to restart all the dialogue trees and go through all the same beats again. I probably should have just done that for dramatic purposes, but whatever. You get.
I'm bringing something to that. I mean, it's it's not putting as fine a point on it because it's a very specific narrative path. But but
we're talking about role playing games here. We're supposed to be bringing things
exactly.
to it.
It's why
concept.
It's why I'm referring to my kind of conflicted elf as an anarcho-socialist sociopath. That's not really explicit in the game. It's just sort of the thing that makes the most sense given the choices I made.
Right. Well, right. And that's the thing that I'm always thought about here. That compared to people will complain about Mass Effect, railroading you into only having a particular type of shepherd. But when you throw open the doors wildly you can be a very duty-bound cleric or an anarcho-socialist murder beast. Not all of the dramatic arcs are going to track very cleanly through this. There's no way to have the same events mean something like it to all those different types of people.
I find that it's easy to kind of fill in the gaps on my own, though. I find that it's surprising how satisfying the narratives can be, even when it's a little bit of implication and a little bit of just willing it to be the case. It still works. It still has that kind of magic transposition of it becomes your character and choices you made, and the narrative kind of forms in a unique and interesting way. I mean, that's Bioware at its best, right? I mean, that's one of their best qualities as a company, and I think it's very much here in this game. I really ended up caring about my stupid, kind of conflicted, not really tracking character, Unum, the Dalish elf Grey Warden, kind of an asshole. It was great. I really enjoyed it, even despite some of the blockiness of the game and the difficulties I was having with with the difficulty spikes and the mistakes I made in building my characters, I was still kind of like, wow, this is a satisfying arc for my weird guy here.
I think I put a lot of that down to the character writing and the companions being so well drawn and everything, because you're like the individual quest line writing can be difficult to have them all resolve in a way that gives you a choice that makes sense. I mean, have to give the player character the freedom to make inconsistent choices, and those are not going to always track cleanly. But what they're really good at is creating these side characters that are complete characters, and that you feel like you have a relationship to those characters that makes sense kind of whichever way you're playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
When it's working, that's how it feels.
I mean, yeah, it's another way my guy wasn't very consistent in that everyone on my team kind of loved him. I mean, everyone had very high regard for him by the end, even the ones I kind of fucked over and lied to, like Shale and Liliana. They're right on the far right corner of opinion, except for Alistair, who I was never nice to, and Ogren. Never quite got Ogren to come around either, but otherwise everyone was just like, you are the best dude, which didn't really track with what I was doing. But I don't know. I mean, this does have the sort of buy their favor mechanic in the gift giving, and with the Fair Day gifts thing, it's very easy to do that now. But
it makes sense that Morrigan would feel that way about you. Like, she's just like, oh man,
that was
you're crazy effective.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
and I kind of did everything she wanted. So
we didn't really talk about in the Denrim section the part where if you're walking around Denrim with Zevran, like one of the quote unquote random encounters that's scripted, is that his assassin group will attack you again, and if Zevran's with you, they'll be like, Zevran, all right, man, you can come back with us if you want. Just help us kill him now. And it'll do a check to see how much Zevran likes you at that point. My Zevran, I had been trying to get him on board with me and being nice to him, and didn't do a good enough job because he still attacked me and I killed him and shit.
Yeah. That often happens, actually. I had him this time. I put the time into Zevran this time, and he stuck with me, which was actually kind of nice. I ended up using him a lot, oddly enough. I think he was in my final my team against the Archdemon. He got killed pretty quick, but he was there. He's still not the best character, at least on the field. But yeah, I enjoyed him more than I usually do this time.
I didn't get a resolution from him because I had to kill him earlier, so I don't know what he ended up doing in the end. So after the final thing and there, you say your goodbyes. You get sort of like Animal House style text cards to tell you like how things resolve for the different party members, but also just like quests like in Orzammar, so and so King Balin did this and blah blah blah. In the Brazilian forest, blah blah blah. This happened. I guess some people complain that it's not like fully animated cinematics, but I don't know. It fits, especially this high fantasy sort of like has such a paperback novel feel to it that I kind of like this as a resolution.
I do too, and it changes a lot. There's a lot of circumstances that can be altered and different, and it's kind of fun to see how that goes. This is the only payoff for destroying the Urn of Sacred Ashes came in text at the end, which is Brother Genitivi killed himself in shame.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
We didn't have time to talk about Brother Genitivi today, but yeah, I think going the alternate route, it's like the Chantry turned it into like a Graceland style tourist attraction.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's right.
I also, one of my favorite things, you get I helped Haramont, the nice guy dwarf with the conservative values, become king, and his rule becomes kind of a disaster. I also, just because it was coded as the nice thing to do in the moment, helped a dwarven convert open up a Chantry branch in Orzammar that it turned out sparked a religious riot where he and all his followers were slaughtered.
Well, I kind of just didn't even bother to help that guy. I talked to him. I was like, no, fuck the Chantry, go away, because that was my dude. But yeah,
better result for that guy. Turns out
yeah. I mean, it is nice to be able to nope out of any side quest in this in the terms of it. Just my character wouldn't do that. That's something that I'm not worried about missing content 6 times through here.
Yeah.
So it kind of frees you up a bit. Hey, that's it, right? Great game. Pretty great game.
Great game. That's it, except for all the DLCs that I'm going to go put now. I'm going to do some Awakenings.
There's about 25 hours of DLC ahead of us. Yeah. That's another episode. We're going to do another episode on the DLC. And
so Awakenings especially is a whole game unto itself.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. I don't know, man. I think I'm done with this, though. I have to admit. I don't see myself playing Dragon Age Origins again.
I think you've said that before.
Yeah. And unlike Mass Effect, which, I played the Legendary Edition, I was like, okay, here's a farewell tour. This will be my final time. I got through it, and I was like, well, there's probably at least 2 more versions of this I want to try. This I got through, and I was like, this is a dated game at this point.
Yeah.
And I've kind of put it through its paces. It's got a really incredible core. The story, the writing, I love. The combat and the gameplay, I'm not wild about it. I have to admit.
I think just given the fallen age that we live in, you might end up playing this again. But I think it won't be like the Legendary Edition. It doesn't need a remaster. It needs a full-blown remake.
Yes,
but
that
those
would be the only
now.
circumstance. Yeah.
That does happen now, so I think that could very easily happen.
A little surprised it hasn't already happened, frankly, when they knew they were making a 4th one this year. I guess it's no simple thing to just remake a game, especially a big one like this.
Yeah, they were probably waiting to see how the 4th one goes to decide. But even if it goes bad, the fan base will only sharpen their opinion that Origins is where things were good and pure, and it's later when they made it into more of an action RPG that everything went bad. And so maybe you can still sell a remake to those people.
Sure, maybe. I mean, it should happen. This game could use a real spit polish here. I mean, there's things I would like to see. I will never do Two-Handed Warrior again. I can promise you that.
No, you don't have that. The game's going to give you 2 more of them. You don't need those.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, we got more to go, and I've already started Awakenings, and it actually already feels smoother. It feels like a more polished version of this combat system. So
we'll get into that next time.
We'll get into it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for listening. Right. Great review, all that stuff.